had 30 cars, so clearly I've got a problem with keeping my eye on the prize. I'm like the dude that went out and bought the computer. You remember he bought the Model 2000, and as he's driving home, the billboard flips, and it's all Model 3000 now available. And I'm the guy that's all, okay, well, I better check that out.
Today, special guest, we got Tim from Dad's Cars and Dad's Garage, 2 channels he runs. Why don't we start with you two talking about, and maybe we start with Tim. We can see something in the background there that looks pretty slick. What are you driving today? And maybe what you're thinking about a little bit leaning into, and then we'll pop over to Shane.
Gotcha. So good to be with you guys. We talk to each other all the time, but never live on your channel. So this is pretty cool. I love it. We've been talking about it for a while. So
modern technology.
I know, right? I know.
Wow.
That's my weekend toy right there. So that's a 2016 Z06, Z07 package car. So those that aren't Corvette people, Z07 pack is the track pack. So carbon ceramic brakes and all the goodies. Factory stock, these are 650 horsepower, 650 torque. Jared rode in a former one of these that I had, and
unbelievable.
Slap you back in the seat fun. And they're not heavy either, they're 3,400 pounds, 3,500 pounds probably on the Z07 package. So they're not super heavy. So they're a ton of fun, but it's strictly a weekend toy for me. My daily, I got some commonplace with Shane. We also, the funny thing is, as we go through this list, everybody's going to see we have the same cars on our list that we want. So, but
See, I don't know everything you guys are thinking of, so this is new for me. Your daily, what you're saying is a Camry.
Yeah, it's a 24 Camry TRD. It's my second Camry. I had a 23 TRD. And the TRD is kind of unique in the Camry world because they only make less than 6,000 every year. They're extremely hard to get your hands on. And I traded my 23 for MSRP, what I paid for it. A year later, well, it's about 8 months later with 12,000 miles on it. So the TRD's kind of got a special little niche market. You can buy them new for about 37, but used 40,000. It's just a weird deal.
The problem is, and Tim and I have chatted. Well, we've all chatted about this. Is we're searching for the perfect vehicle that checks all of those boxes.
Right.
And every day we come up with a new one that might do that. The bottom line is there really is nothing that's gonna for you for a little while, but we're not Jay Leno, so we don't have 40 cars in our garage that we say today I'm driving the Z06. I just need a Camry for the groceries. I want a weekend. I want that Hemi V8. I want the import. So we don't have that. So we're trying to find that perfect blend.
Yeah, because Tim, for you, as long as we've kind of known each other and stuff, it's sort of been you're a Corvette guy, but you've been a Mopar guy as well. So you kind of bounce back and forth between the common sense daily and your American muscle as well, right?
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah, I had 3 Scat Packs in a row, but I kept making money on them because every year they would call me and say, "Hey, we'll buy that one back for $6,000 more than you just bought it from us last year." And well, it's like no brainer, So so I had 3 in a row. I had a 1920, and I ordered the 21. And then by the time I made the money on those 3 cars, it kind of got me into a little bit different level where I could go chase my Z06 dream.
So tell us about the Prius you're going to get.
Yeah. Those new ones actually don't look as bad. So.
That's true. I give credit.
The new ones are pretty cool.
I will give credit. They finally got a design that isn't making me want to puke,
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'll tell you where I'm at right now is, I've got a very expensive car sitting in my garage, and basically it sits in my garage.
Yeah.
Here in Texas, we have a lot of nice weather like y'all do, so I do get to enjoy it pretty much 12 months out of the year. But I mean, it's pretty much, a Saturday, a Sunday. The problem with Corvettes is if you get it to 30,000 miles, it's a high mileage vet. So really, I'm just trying to pare down cars here. I'm trying to get to one that gives me enough muscle every day, doesn't kill me on gas.
I feel like there's less options today than there were like 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Way less options because
Okay.
there's just not that many options that are. I mean, and any option you look at, it's going to be in the 50s and 60s. I mean, that's where they're at. Let's start with the one that. Should we start with the one you and I both want so bad, Shane?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay,
All
so
right.
this kills two birds with one stone because
Yes.
Shane, you're looking at this one too. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's check it
All
out.
right.
What do we got?
Screen share. Here we go.
It's a Nissan Leaf.
It might be
Jared.
something like that.
I know. I hate.
Why
I'm
did you
just
blow it
giving away.
for us, dude?
I know. I'm just like.
Okay.
Tim, I hope it's a picture of a jalopy. Let's see. Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is this kind of designed how you would build it?
This is how I built it, right?
Yes.
All right, tell
Yeah,
us what this is.
100%.
What is this?
Acura TLX Type S, and I am absolutely in love with this car. I love it. You can buy one. They're easy to buy if you can find one, but we'll get into that. They're easy to buy because when you go build it out, there's basically no options.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, it's very
Loaded.
easy. Yeah, it's loaded and 58,000. So it is so good looking. I mean, look at the four pipes back there. They're huge.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Shane, what do you like about this? What do you? Same thing. You just like the fact that
it's really got a lot of high praise from the automotive industry. It's a lot for the money. Performance. It has a absolute beast of a motor, putting out 360 plus on a V6 that sounds great. It's got the SH all-wheel drive system, low 4 seconds 0 to 60. So you're talking scat pack performance in a refined. I mean, there's with the import cars, which I think Tim and I are drawn to, is there's a next level of refinement, higher quality leather. The tech is higher level. It's quiet. You got the Brembo brakes on there. I mean, it's really a high performing car, and you're getting the Honda basically longevity out of that. So these are cars that will go a long time.
All right, there's one. Shane, anything else to add before Tim?
So here's the problem, because I watched this car on its release. You get all excited about it, and then you call the dealers, and they say, so here's a problem with Acura. It bugs me is you can't order one. It's very much like Toyota and Honda. You can't get on the site and build it and call and say, I'd like to order
That's
this.
stupid.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. That's just stupid. That is dumb.
You can't build it. I know. So when I've talked to 5 different dealers, and they say, we just get an allocation. They tell us what's coming. So it could be black, it could be red. And he says, if it shows up, we'll call you. And they don't even know. I talked to one back in January, and he goes, I don't know when we're going to get the next one. And I told him, I go, that's stupid for a performance car. People should be able to build it, order it, and know when it's coming. And he says, yep, Acura just doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So on a side note, Tim and I did a 100-mile radius, no cars. I did a 200-mile radius, no cars. I did a 500-mile radius, no cars. Nationwide, 9. So they're just not out there, and I don't think they're marking them up, but they're just impossible to get. And I don't know why. Tim, maybe you can shed some light on that. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah. Well, I found the same exact thing. I kept getting drug into these negotiations over cars that they can't even get. And it was extremely frustrating. And, they'll tell you they got one coming. And then when you get down to the brass tacks, they really don't.
Yeah.
And what I was told by one of the dealers, we've got about 5 of them here in the Dallas area. And what one of them told me is they think they're putting all their energy into building that new EV that's coming out. And so
There you go.
kind of put on the burner, and everybody's clamoring for this car and they can't give you one. But this car is what I actually wanted to go for initially.
Ooh.
Yeah, IS.
Yes. Yes.
So this, $10,000 more than the Acura, but you do get a Toyota V8.
Man, I actually would. I like these a lot.
I do too.
Yeah, I like these a lot. I've always this has been around for a while, right? This car model, it's changed, but it's
Well, it was originally the ISF.
Yes, okay.
And remember, that was the naturally aspirated stacked quad pipes in the back. It had a naturally aspirated V8, competed with the M3 V8 up until about 2011. They were hard to get, but they were glorious. I lusted after them. The problem with these cars is they're sized like a two-door coupe. That back seat, and Tim will tell you, you can't sit back there.
Yeah, yeah. And being that we still have one at home who's a very big 14-year-old, that created a little bit of an issue. So when I see these cars, not only was I in love with it, but I thought, oh, that's about the size of a Camry. Well, not inside. It actually has 6 inches less legroom in the back than a Camry does.
Wonder why that is. It's just the way they're laid out, huh?
Yeah, yeah. They have a lot of front leg room. I think they're intended for people to sit in the front seat mostly.
What's the HPs on this?
472.
Oh, man.
And they sound glorious. Now, these are going to put you in the 68 range. Now,
that's too much. That's too much money. I'm sorry. That is just, it's a lot of money. I get it. It's a Lexus and all that kind of stuff. It's competing with the BMW M series, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So, that's a lot of money.
The issues I ran into with them too was even with the Mark Levinson, which is their, they have one package that you can do, and it's got if you see the 3 headlights there, it's got the 3 projector beams on each side. Comes with that, the Mark Levinson 17 speaker system, but I was completely unimpressed with the Mark Levinson. The Lexus people are sitting there talking it up all the time about how great it is. The Harman Kardon and the Dodges is far superior. It's way better.
So what's the problem with getting these? Any issues? Are they hard to, again, same thing, hard to come by? It's a Toyota.
You can get them, but this is another deal where they will not let you order it. And almost every one of them is going to come with the forged wheels and the Mark Levinson package. So you're looking at $68,000. They're almost all pre-sold, and they typically sell either before they go into production or right as they're in production. Anyway, but I really like the TX or TLX a lot better. The sound system was far superior, and it did have a little bit more back seat space. It was 3 inches shorter in the back than the Camry, rather than 6 inches like this.
Shane, are you considering these?
So it's the same problem as when you call, it's always, hey, I'd like to order one, and they go, nah, and we'll call you when the allocation comes in, and basically you don't get a choice of color or anything. They just go, hey, it's coming in and it's black. Do you want it? And you go, no. So I don't care about necessarily the space, because, my wife's got her Mazda CX-90, and, Connor, old enough, he has his own car. Everyone has their own car. So I'm not hauling people around. I do, from a design standpoint, really like the Lexus's more aggressive sort of rake. And I like the staggered wheels, big old fat wheels and a flared rear end. It gives it that look.
I love those rear hips. I love those hips. It's really
now I get it
cool.
on the Acura. It's all-wheel drive, so they're not going to have staggered setup, but it is a really attractive car. It's nice, but I think it's a pipe dream because you just can't get them.
I love the idea of a Toyota V8. I'm a huge Toyota fan, and I would have liked that. And they sound freaking amazing.
So the Lexus, Jared, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Lexus CEO is an anti-turbo. That's why Lexus has, other than in their 4-cylinder, he says, I'm a purist. So all of their V8s are naturally aspirated. So the GSF, so I had the GS, with the V6, but they made a GSF with this motor in it. That was, you can still find them. You can get on, and they're in like the 50s, the GSF. So it's the big 4-door sedan with the V8. Those were bad to the bone. So they sound, when you hear them, and they're not the quickest. They never claim to be the fastest,
No.
but they are just the sound and how quiet they are and refined. But yeah, they'll do. I don't know, Tim, what's the spec on their 60? Like, are they 4.1, 4.2, something like that?
Yeah, I believe it was the low 4s, 4.2-ish, somewhere around there. It was pretty much Scat Pack sort of range, 0 to 60. And then quarter mile was similar. It was in the low 12s area. I think 12.4 or something like that.
That's pretty quick. That's quick enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Plenty quick.
Okay. So Shane, do you want to tell us what you're looking at right now? I got to tell you though, neither of those things, Tim, can you even get right now, right? So it's like, is there one other thing that's more realistic, or do you want to let Shane talk about his stuff
Let's
first?
let Shane talk about his, and then I'll tell you guys what I just drove this morning, because I've kept that from you.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
okay,
that's right.
More teasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't kid yourself. I'm not going to try and rationalize how my brain works, because it just, people are going to go, oh, that doesn't make, well, it makes sense to me. But I've had 30 cars, so clearly I've got a problem with keeping my eye on the prize. I'm like the dude that went out and bought the computer. You remember he bought the Model 2000, and as he's driving home, the billboard flips and it's all Model 3000 now available. And I'm the guy that's all, okay, well, I better check that out. So I'm not constantly like trying to keep up with the neighbors, but my brain is constantly like, I enjoy the next generation model and what's coming, and it's hard to just. So that's why I lease my cars too. But anyway, so I missed the V8.
Well, let's also, Shane, your other thing is that you drive it for about 18 months, and then all of a sudden something starts bugging you, right? And then all of a sudden you start picking it apart. You're like, then you sort of distance yourself from it. You're like, okay, I'm over this car.
I do have I should work for quality assurance, because I do have a problem with stuff, and I try to not let it bug me. Now, so little things, just especially like in high, expensive cars, like a little rattle or a little piece that doesn't fit together, it starts to wear on me a little bit. I know it's a problem, and I'm not OCD, I promise. Okay, so going back, I got rid of my Scat Pack. I bought the Toyota. It's a perfect daily driver. I've got a road out of my house that gets onto another road that's not the greatest. There's a lot of little cracks and potholes. It's a county road, not maintained very well. So, I drive it over that, and boom, 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 whatever. I'm not freaking out about it. Rock chip, I'm like, okay. So the Camry's great. I love it. Great gas mileage. It serves all my purposes. But you know me, I want kind of next level of performance. I'm missing that. I can't have 5 cars in my garage. And so it's May. So 6 months ago, I was looking at the new Mustangs, and I've never been a Mustang. Like Tim, you've owned them back in the 90s, I think, with the Fox body or whatever, but I've liked them. They sound cool. I've read a ton of reviews on them. So I went in and I talked to the GM of our local Ford dealer, and he goes, well, let's throw an order in for you. It won't cost you anything. I need to order one anyway. So I didn't have to put a deposit down, and I built it out. I have it on the screen, so I guess I need to share this, right? This is probably 99% correct in terms of the build. So I went in and built this exact color. It's got pretty much everything: the GT Performance Pack, the Night Pony Pack, or whatever, that turns everything black there. And if we want, Jared, can you expand that picture? Oh, there you go. Nice. So they're nice looking. Really, really nice looking. I sat in one. The interior, of course, is drawing a lot of people with the big panel screen and the flat bottom wheel. I built this as an automatic because they saved the Tremec for the Dark Horse, and I've had a manual. The automatics are much quicker. They're just super fast. And so this was November. I submitted the build. I have the paperwork. It did not even get accepted. See, there's the interior. Pretty nice looking interior. Yeah. Pretty sharp. It didn't even get accepted until maybe 3 weeks ago. I got just a text, and he said, hey, Ford finally accepted it, but it hasn't gone into production. So we're 6 months in, not even into production yet. Again, are they focusing on their EV side? What I don't know. Here's my problem. they say it's this newly redesigned. From the underpinnings, it's really not. It's the same as the S550. It really, they changed the motor a little bit with the dual throttle body intakes, but in terms of the HPs, it's essentially the same. It's the 480 and 418 or whatever, and they're identical in terms of performance to the last generation. So you're paying, this one here, MSRP was close to 59,000. So you put that next to the Acura TLX, and to me, it's not even a choice. I'm going the Type S all day long. I mean, that's to me just, four-door sedan, all-wheel drive, probably just performing just as well as this one, if not better. And so I'm going $58,000. He gave me a little bit of a deal. So that was on my list, kind of by default, that he ordered it for me just to have as an option, but I'm probably not gonna take that. So that's one. Two was the TLX, and then the third one, I sent that other link to you, Jared. Do you have that in there? And this is like, Tim, my sort of dream car, the stretch car, which would be equivalent to this IS 500.
Touching a bit on the Mustang, I actually was getting so, I don't want to say desperate, but so disappointed with all this car shopping that I actually went and built one of those one night too. I'm not a huge fan of the new look, but yeah, and that Jared's laughing because Shane and I, with the car thing, we're brothers when it comes to the car thing, because we think so much alike on the car stuff. It's like anytime Jared's not going to like something, I call Shane because I know he would.
Yeah, Jared.
Well, here's the problem, Shane. Yeah. So I knew it, a freaking BMW. I knew you were gonna I knew you were gonna go there, because I know both of your brains at this point too. Though, is that I've watched you cycle through stuff, and even when you get back to the V6, that little itch in the back of your mind when you get around that V8 firing up, eventually you're gonna be like, gosh darn it, I want a vet again, or gosh darn it, I'm looking at, So that's a beautiful car, Shane. I noticed, is blue, is that kind of what you're leaning towards?
No. I actually built it in what's called the Brooklyn Gray, which is absolutely stunning. So I drove it. I drove this car, and it's next level. So I've had multiple BMWs. Here's the deal. When you drive a BMW, it will always be in the back of your mind, that level of refinement. It's like no other car. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that I've ever driven like American that touches the BMW level of refinement. And so I didn't leave BMW because of the V8. I left it because of price. They were just getting so stinking expensive. And I wanted a BMW M, the actual M, hand-built M, since I was a senior in high school when my buddy bought M3. And then when I was doing my rotations through school, one of the docs that I was with bought it was like a 2014 or 15 when they went to the inline 6 M's. So I've kind of lusted after the M's, but they were always very expensive, hard to get. But I finally drove the M2. The M2 is basically an M4, shorter wheelbase, power plant. And this is what I love about the BMW. They are always underrating and sort of under-promising, over-delivering on all of their performance. So they'll tell you it's a 460 horsepower 406. It dynos at easily 500 horsepower and 440 on torque. Easy. They go, oh, you can do 0 to 60 in 4.1. People are getting 3.7s and 3.8s all day. And it's so different than the American cars, where Ford is like 0 to 60 in the Mustang at 4.1. Nobody's ever achieved a 4.1, even with big fat. So they're like getting a tailwind, perfect track setting, ambient temperature's perfect, and then they're posting their best time. BMW is like, give it a few runs and just report what we got. And it's just, they're stunning performance. So this one I built is $67,000. They're very expensive, long-term to maintain. They're high performance parts, but that car it was like, I got in it and I was like, I didn't know what to say. It was stunning. So here's the deal. It's actually sitting in an order bank at BMW right now. When they get an allocation, they're going to call me. The problem is they want $5,000 deposit because they don't want anybody backing out on these. So I've got to go down, do an application, give them a $5,000 check. It would be built somewhere around June or July. 3 months after that, take delivery. And that would be, so that's kind of that scratch. Jared, we always talk about this, like, I can't reach it in the middle of my back. That's that car. I think that I would love having. Here's the problem. The level of paranoia of driving this is what kills at least Jared and I. It would be my daily. And pretty soon I'm gonna go, I don't want to daily this. I'm wiping the wheels down. I'm parking way off in the parking lot. I'm checking for scratches when I come out. And eventually you just kind of get tired of that. That's what I love about the Camry. I'll pull in between two cars. I get out and I don't even think about it when I go to Lowe's. But these cars are special. And so I just don't know if I want to rack up miles on this. So I don't know. I clearly have a problem.
I have watched this mental journey and the mental gymnastics Shane that goes through. Like you had it was a 7 Series, Shane?
No, I had so I've had two X3s and I've had a 535i and then I had a 340i-M, which was
but the 5 Series one is the one that you literally turn back in because there's too many rock chips coming up on it every time you drove. You're like, I can't take it. I'm out.
Well, but Jared, remember on your Scat Pack though, you called me when you had a couple of rock dents and you said to me, and I laughed, I almost was crying. You said, if I get one more rock chip, I'm selling this car.
Well, I've been PPF'd all the doors on it. So the first thing you would do on this car, Shane, is you get it PPF'd. I'm sorry,
PPF,
the whole
100%.
front, if not the whole thing, because look at the flared out hips on this thing. That's going to take rock chips all day long. You're gonna be hating life on that. So the other thing that's interesting is it's a 2-door, basically a coupe here that you're looking at, right? Yeah. And it's like that's interesting because you're not worried about a back seat. You're just
So after Shane told me about this car, because I called him after y'all's last video where you're kind of hinting around to what he had. So I called him and we talked for a good while that night and he talked about the M2. And I honestly never had BMW on my radar, period. For one, they're just too expensive and I've always heard reliability issues. So I just never really thought about them. But as soon as he talked about that M2 and he says, man, there's nothing that drives like it. And so I went and built one too. And mine was also the same kind of price as yours, upper 60s. But it's just very inconvenient for me still having one kid at home. You know, it pretty much puts us in the tundra all the time. And I'm, trying to keep the miles off the tundra. One vehicle, keep the miles off of it because we run the tar out of the other ones. But
don't drive it. Don't drive it. You will just,
it'll be over. Yeah.
It'll be over. You'll order one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
But, okay. So Shane, we haven't tied off on this yet. You got it on order, but there's a mental hurdle you have to get over to actually drive this car home. You just talked about the county road you drive on daily. You talked about all this stuff. Is that really realistic? Or do you need something that's like, you're not driving down the road and every time a rock chip hits your windshield or the front of it? Yeah.
So my dream is keep the Camry and get this. That's the dream. But again, I've got a family and I've got my middle child is, as well as his scholarship pays, he's going to Santa Clara University playing soccer. We've got, expenses there for a couple of years. So, maybe some delayed gratification. I always tell my wife, I really want this car. And she's like, yeah, you've wanted like 35 cars, so it's hard to convince, her that this is the one because she knows me, but it's my one weakness.
Well, okay. So is there something else you're thinking? I mean, realistically, you're not keeping the Camry on this too. Is that really going to happen? You think? Maybe not now.
No, I've kind of cooled off on I think Tim and I have had a couple of experiences lately. We're tired of the gimmicks at the lots. I'm tired of the interest rates. I called on the Acura TLX and the guy was like giving me $26,000 for my Camry. It's not even a year old at the time I talked to him. I paid $42,000 and I said, are you kidding me? You're going to turn around and sell it for $37,000. Well, that's all I can give you. And I'm like, then you don't want my business. And I'm tired of that. BMW has been really, really good, but so I'm just kind of cooling things off right now. And if something comes along that I have to, but these cars, they're not going away. The M's, they'll just continue to build them. They'll get better. They'll have next generation. They're currently now building 2025s. So, I've maybe matured a little bit in my patience, but I still really want.
But you got a deposit that they're going to be asking you about. Are you going to go down and make that deposit?
Well, we'll see when the time comes. He called me and said they'll get
I'm trying to put him on the spot here. Try to get a commitment out of him. All right, Tim, what's the one thing you're looking at? And then I want to hear about these market dynamics because the truth of the matter is, in order to make a deal, you both have to trade a car in, right? And if you just have to go out and buy a car for cash right now, maybe you're in a good power position, but maybe not. But what is this special car you went and looked at today?
Okay, so I will share screen again because I got one pulled up. I see Shane's anticipation.
I think I know. I'll be honest. If it is. Yeah.
Oh,
there it is.
absolutely.
I knew it.
You did? You did
I love this car.
Starts with a C, the old
Tim,
Cadillac CT4. Yes.
I love this car. This is,
Yeah.
and Shane, now let's be honest, Shane, you've never driven a Cadillac like this. So
Nope.
I love this car. I think this is just, look at the splitter on the front. I mean, it's just,
I didn't really
love these.
consider this car either, but you know, when I'm watching all these videos on Acuras, when I'm looking at all these videos on the IS 500, almost everybody invariably says, but the CT4 Blackwing is the car right now. And I'm like, it's a Cadillac, really? Come on, I don't think of Cadillac for this, you know? Now the CT5 Blackwing, yes, that's, you know, got the same motor as this.
Yeah.
But I just never dreamed it, you know? So I went this morning and I was hustling because I knew we were going to meet up. I drove a CT5V, and I then went to another dealer who had a used in that same color CT4 Blackwing, and that color is a 23 for 2023. You can't get it in 24 anymore. They don't do that color, and that's the color I really like on that car. And I may be buying that car this afternoon.
No way.
Yeah.
The used CT4.
Yeah. I found one with 6,000 miles on it.
Ooh.
Is it blue?
That's the car right there.
That's the color. Okay.
70.
Tim, no way.
Yeah, 75 was the sticker on this car, and so it's fairly loaded. You can run those things up to in the mid 80s. They start at about 60 for the Blackwing, but you can run them into the mid 80s. Cadillac's crazy with all their packages, and you pay for everything.
Yep.
So it made it very complicated, and it makes it complicated to find what you want. But I just happened to find one with 6,000 miles on it, and it's a 23, that same exact blue, for 60 is what they're asking.
Oh, so tell me, remind me, what's the power plant in this CT4?
Twin turbo V6.
Okay.
Yeah, 472 horsepower, I think, just right there with, and 450 or something torque.
How did you like the two, comparing them back to back?
Well, the 5V, there's more leg room in the back for sure. It's a wider car too, so it physically feels a little larger. The power plant in it's just a single turbo 3-liter, I believe, if I remember correctly, putting out about 360 horsepower. Surprisingly, it sounded better than the Blackwing did. I'm not quite sure why, but it sounded better, but it clearly didn't have as much power. It was a certified pre-owned 23 model on the 5V that I drove, and they were wanting about 60,000 also on it. But actually, while we've been on this call, the guy texted me from the dealer, and they're lowballing the crap out of me on this Corvette too. So
the market is a problem right now, where sure, it looks like new car prices are you're starting to get some discounts, you're starting to get some power dollars, you're starting to see dealer discounts, which is huge, right? But they're not off, they're lowballing everybody on their trade-ins. I mean, Shane, you got lowballed big time on your Camry. So how are you pushing through but you may go make this happen today? How are you working through that?
Well, they already gave me sight unseen on the Corvette, a price.
Okay.
So they just want to verify it is what I say it is, and then they gave me the price on the Camry. It was there. And, for me, the bottom line is, to me, how much at the end of the day do I have to finance, or how much do I get back, in a check? Because I've got pretty good equity in both vehicles. So I don't care if they give me 50,000 for the Corvette and 45,000 for the Camry, as long as it doesn't matter how that number comes out.
it all has to make sense for you financially. And Shane, for you going and looking at maybe an M2 or whatever, you're going to pay top dollar, right? You're going to pay what they're asking for the M2, and then they're going to, of course, try to squeeze you on a trade-in, which leaves you kind of like I mean, you need to get a decent value out of your trade-in, right? Because you did buy that when the market was crazy. You bought that car when the market was high.
And usually when you meet them at theirs, especially the luxury dealers, where I mean they're a little higher end, they're gonna meet you and usually pay off that. You know, if you go, look, I'm not buying this and I'm rolling negative equity, they're gonna meet you there because they've got some room on there, and you may pay MSRP, but yeah. So I'm not too worried about that. The question is, do I want to lease a $70,000 car? Even if you put the 5,000 down, you're looking at $1,000 a month for a lease.
For a car that you really don't want a daily across your commute.
Jared, just as a side note, I parked at a high school game, and I had my son's Honda Accord. It was down in a normal parking lot, and I was watching a group of kids walking, and the kid ran and slid across the hood of my Honda like Dukes of Hazzard style. And so this is what you get, right? Had I not witnessed that, his Wranglers and his, Chua Copenhagen, whatever, across the front, I said, did you just Duke of Hazzard my car? And he's all, I said, dude, don't ever do that ever again. And his whole friends are like looking, they're like, sorry. I said, that is the most disrespectful. I couldn't believe it. But that's the stuff you get. Like, and that would be your car. You park your car down there and some dude's like whoosh, across the top of the car. Yeah. Unreal.
That's ridiculous. So, the little rivets in his pants just scraping across. Hey, Tim, that car rocks.
That's it.
I love this car. Look at that.
Gosh. Oh my gosh.
That's the car. That is the car, right?
That's the car. Yeah, it's got the Alcantara package too. So you see all the Alcantara on the pillars. You got the Alcantara, on the door panels.
What a fun car.
Wow, that is so nice.
They got like 200 Jeeps over there too.
That is stunning. That car is absolute. Wow. I hope you get that.
I love the rake of it, the way it's tilted forward like that. It's really cool. Reminds me of my G8. All right, let's wrap this video up. I am going to be excited to hear what you do with this car, Tim. And Shane, we'll see if you get an M2 later this fall. Those who stuck with this video, it's a little longer than we expected, but hey, great discussion. And everyone, we will catch you on the next video.